Aidan thinks, because we can now, if you wanted to, if you were in Colombia and you wanted to just ring in for 20 minutes and say, I'm in Colombia and we're using this system, you can call my phone.
Right.
And it Bluetooths to that piece of kit out there and you come through. We
Really?
did an interview with Eric about 4 weeks ago from Canada. It came through gorgeous.
Really?
Yeah, so we can do that now.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to start in September, we're going to start doing more interviews and from around the world and have phone-ins. So September's going to be good for the podcast. Coachy from here. Big bang for you there. So we're back. It's podcast 185 and we've got a special guest. Like we mentioned last week, it's going to be the last podcast of the growing year. We'll be back for September. We're going to take a little break because we've got a lot going on and there's just too much going on, to be honest, to be able to do good quality podcasts every week. So we'll be back first week of September. And it's podcast 185. It's an interview with Coachy. Do the intro.
All good? Ready to go? Turn my voice up a little bit. Oh, got that. Everyone watching. The whole family.
Are you ready to go? I built a beer in the house that I built, in the booth that I built.
I know people tune in every Sunday to listen, but even when business is good, we still manage to do the podcast.
An interview with, is it Barry?
No.
Is it one of the partners, CANNA?
No.
Is it one of the amazing people from Switzerland and Austria, SANlight?
No, not quite.
The Dutch from Can Filters?
9.
The Thailand from Revolution Microelectronics?
Nope.
Who's the other person? Podcast partner? Who are you?
Hello, everybody.
Oh,
This is the NPK podcast with Jason from AutoPot.
part-time serial killer.
Hi, everybody. I'm back.
Back, how long ago was it that you did our last podcast? In the booth? It was well over a year ago.
May last year, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, May last year.
And Jason, first of all, thank you very much for being a partner of the podcast.
My pleasure.
You are the first partner to be brave enough to come onto the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'd love to be on every week.
Oh, would you? Yeah. I'd love your voice to be on. Barry would love you to be on every week. He's got another podcast with your science. He hates it when we talk science. But we are actually going to dedicate this podcast to Maya, the NPK dog, Barry's dog, sadly passed away last week. And I just thought we'll round up. Jason's here and we're going to let Barry have a nice month off. And we're going to be thinking about Maya on today's podcast. Right. So we're not live actually this week because Mevo are a load of shit. Their boost pack is a load of shit. You go out, you think you buy. So thank you to the partners. We are able to purchase the best kit, 4K cameras, booster packs, great audio. They say on their notes. And it turns out that it's just a big load of shit. So another reason is we're taking a month off is that the Mevo has to be sent back, and I don't want shitty audio on YouTube. It just doesn't look good. So Mevo's being sent back, and we'll crack on again 1st of September. One of the big events that's taking part, Jason, it's a little summer social. Don't know if you've heard of it, but I'm going to raise awareness for you for this weekend, just in case you didn't know what was happening. So it's the 17th, 18th, 19th of August.
I believe
that Friday weekend, and it's called a summer social by a gravity-fed watering system, isn't it? The gravity-fed watering system summer social. That is a much catchier name.
It's a bit long for people late at night, isn't it?
Well, the AutoPot summer social are better. Yeah. Who came up with the acronym? I would love to know.
What, AutoPot?
Yeah. No, the AutoPot summer social.
Oh, well, The ass.
Yeah.
I think that was a mistake because I didn't want to use the word festival anymore.
Yeah.
So I said, let's tell you. So we had a little bit of a chat in the office and various people, and we came summer social. And then we broke up the words, came up with the acronym ASS.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the perfect ASS for the end of the year, really.
It is. Oh, yeah, I like that. And you know what? When you send emails and the title of the email is ASS, it does grab your attention.
I know it does.
Like, is this another email looking to get me a female bride from around the world? No, it's just the AutoPot Summer Social. So today's podcast, for people that want to know, there's going to be a little bit of information for the end consumers, the end growers. There'll be a little bit of industry information, and there's going to be a chat, which is always revelationary with Jason. He does not pull his punches.
No.
So it will be said as it is. And if it offends anybody, then tough. Yeah, that's as tough. That's as straight talk as it gets.
Only get to go on a soapbox once a year.
Yeah. And this is it.
Put me
So
back
get
in
ready.
the cupboard for the rest of the year.
So, AutoPot Summer Social. It's an industry event, not available to the public. And I want to get on my little bit of high horse.
There's one sort of niche little bit of public that's invited this year,
Is there?
and that's the MBS. And all the MBS members who listen, and I know there's thousands,
Yeah.
they're invited. So all they have to do is contact Ray, and which they have been doing by all accounts. And so they're welcome to come down. I know Medwin's coming down this year.
Is he? Recent Chelsea Gold Award winner.
Yeah.
12th one?
12th one.
Yeah.
So he grew his plants in CANNA substrates and AutoPot. And
Lovely.
so lots of plants were grown in those combinations, and he got another gold. I mean, it was a given, really, wasn't it? I think he'd turn up with a bit of cress and he'd win, wouldn't he, really?
Yeah, he is one of the judges for all RHS shows. So if he didn't get gold, it'd be like,
That's
it'd be
right.
diabolical,
And he's got an
wouldn't it?
MBE off his name, so they have to give it to him, don't they, really?
Yeah. But having said that, it's a given when he grows in methods and ways that he knows. This is a whole new type of media, whole new type of system, and it is a bit of a change for people.
Yeah,
and he's done very well.
He has.
And it just proves that I've got to speak about Medwin very well. So an experienced grower,
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
that is hands down one of the best in the country in traditional methods. He's made the switch to AutoPots and CANNA nutrients for this year, and won gold with not much of a, at the day wasn't much of a sweat broken, but I imagine the 3, 4, 5 months beforehand there was lots of sweats broken.
Without a doubt, yeah.
But it proves a point. CANNA nutrients, easy to use, and AutoPot systems, easy to use. There's not, if they were technically difficult, there's a high chance he could have struggled.
Yeah.
Because when I say experienced grower, I mean he has a lot, many years of experience,
He has, yeah.
and not applying it to everybody of a certain age, but moving from something that they've done for 20, 30 years to a whole new system can be technically challenging. So the fact that he's done that with AutoPots is a big credit to AutoPot, because not only is it easy to use, it grows amazing plants that can win
The good
gold.
thing about Medwin as well, and I didn't realise this until I first met him, that he used to be an injection moulding tool maker.
Right.
So when I first rocked up, he went, "Oh, good quality plastic, that isn't it, Jason?" as he hit me over the back of the head with a leak.
Glad it was over the back of the head.
So he knows his stuff when it comes to sort of injection moulding and quality and stuff like that. So, he doesn't suffer fools lightly, man.
Yeah.
He's a real, good egg.
Yeah.
So it just embedded with him and the CANNA products as well, that it just all went well together. And, it has done, and the results have, shown so far. And he's obviously doing other stuff. He's pulled out of, Malvern this year.
Okay.
But he's going to be doing a TP opposite the CANNA Giant Veg Tent and just promoting himself as Medwins of Anglesey, selling his products.
Nice. That's also his Instagram tag. So if you want to see, like, it's set, people thinking the majority of listeners that are your indoor growers, you're probably thinking, how good can vegetables look on a stand? Follow Medwin, Medwins of Anglesey on Instagram, and you will be, if anybody says that his displays aren't absolutely gorgeous, then you just shouldn't be listening to this podcast, because
all over the world.
Yeah, every grower can appreciate a good display, and his displays are absolutely phenomenal. Like gold, Chelsea gold. That's all you have to say.
Exactly.
So yeah, big thank you to Medwin. Also, if Medwin ever does get to listen to this, then this is a public apology from myself to Medwin because I was meant to be doing a talk on efficiency.
Oh,
of
I
growing.
heard about that.
Oh
Yeah,
God, this
I
is
heard
even
about
worse
that.
for me now. Jason's here, though. I'm truly fucked.
Your name was Mud.
Well, I can imagine because he's with the old school, my dad's old school, and they don't like to be let down. And I feel like I did let him down because
You posted it up on Instagram, didn't you, when you were in Prague?
yeah. No, he got told well before that. I wasn't that bad. But he asked me to do a talk, and I was going to do the efficiency of growing. It's all about lighting and systems, how to make yourself as efficient as possible when you're indoors. I'd also forgotten that CANNA had paid for flights and hotel to take me and the team to Prague to the I can't remember the festival. It's not a festival. Can't remember the trade show Prague now, but it's a good trade show, and I had to pick between the two. And to be honest, I hate public speaking. I was doing it to sort of give myself a kick up the arse. I'm like, listen, you have to do something that you don't like sometimes. Get up there and give the talk. When it came to
This is up at Snowdonia, isn't it?
Yeah. When it
I'm up there this coming year.
Yeah,
doing
he
a
hasn't
very
asked me
topical topic.
Yeah, he hasn't asked me to go back this year. So, but I want to put it out there. Apologies to Medwin. If you ever ask me again, I will drop anything. And I will
I'll
do
just
it
tell
for
him
you.
you're an arse and you didn't give a shit anyway.
Yeah. Do that. I don't think it'll take a while. It'll take some presence, I think, to get back in his good graces. But yeah, that's Medwin, top grower. Well done on your Chelsea Gold. Please forgive me.
Congratulations.
So, the AutoPot Summer Social. I want to get on my high horse a little bit because I want to tell the industry how I feel about this festival. I've been there since day one, since it was year one when you were opened up the greenhouses and we did podcast number 13 or 14.
You weren't there for day one because day one we only had sandwiches and 4 people turn up.
Did you? With what sandwiches was it? That
I
could have
can't
been the
remember. I
reason.
think they were bought from Marks and Spencer's down the road. No, we had some. I think Growwell had Marks and Spencer sandwiches, and the other stores had slightly lesser sandwiches, like Spa or something.
I hadn't make all mine.
But no, I mean, I think the AutoPot sort of event has been going, I'd probably say 7 or 8 years now.
Oh, okay.
But it used to just be the greenhouse. We'd do the greenhouse. I think one of the first years it was just full of thousands of chilies, which the photos have been beamed all around the world. And then we'd invite people just for a Saturday afternoon, a couple of beers, a little chat, and then it just got a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. And then, like I've said before, all the exhibitions were being done. People were getting a little bit, this is a bit sort of health and safety is a bit of a nightmare. The square footage is a bit expensive. The security is a bit of a nightmare. It's not very comfortable. Why doesn't someone do a festival type feel thing? So because Ben had the farm, we went, let's do it. So we did. And then, so I suppose this will be the 4th year since it's probably been the actual summer social or the festival or whatever. I think this will be the 4th year,
I
maybe
remember
5th year.
being there the year before it became the full summer social. So we were there in 2014.
Yeah.
Because it was about the 13th or 14th podcast that were done. Go back and listen to it because even though the early podcasts are cringy to me, not the greatest audio, we were brand new to it. And I don't like the fact that they're still up there. But if you go to number 13, I did actually really enjoy that podcast. It was outside. It was with Jason and Dan.
And Ben. Was Ben there as well? No, Ben
he
was just me and Dan.
Yeah. And we sat down on the grass and we had one of the, a Lancaster bomber
That's
come
right, I
over.
remember.
You can hear that in the background. And it was one of my favourite early podcasts. So go back and listen to that. It was Jason's first podcast with us. But there wasn't really the summer social then.
No.
And then I think the year after that, 2015, is that when it
I think
started?
so, when the TPs arrived.
Yeah.
And it all got a bit, because I think that year it was chaos because the cars are on top of the tents and the tents are on top of the cars and we managed to juggle it. And
That's it to remember because then that was 2014 and then we did, I don't think we exhibited for the first year. I think we just went there for fun. And then 2016 we were there as Nano. 2017 we were there as Nano. 2018 we did NPK Media launch, and 2019 is again we'll be there as NPK Media, and that's the point that I'm getting to. Is a lot of people when people talk about the AutoPot Summer Social as an exhibitor, the question or statement always comes up, but what's the ROI? What's the return of investment? It costs X amount of money to be an exhibitor at AutoPot, depending on what size stand you get and what sort of sponsor you are, if you're platinum or if you're main premier sponsor.
Yeah.
And business people are looking at it like, well, I go there and it's all the shops that already buy off us, so they're not really going to buy any more off us if we exhibit, so it's not really pointless. It's not really worth us being there. And I've said this every year, and I just want to reiterate it because it still stands, is that for me, it's not, for me actually, let's change this. For new companies, it's massively brilliant for ROI. So when I was there with Nano, phenomenal. When I was launching the media company, phenomenal. And I'm back again because for us as a media presence, you've got to always be there just to remind people this industry's now got a media, dedicated media company. Use us. And so I'll be there every year. But I truly believe if you have a budget, then you should allocate as much as you can to get a stand at AutoPot, because nearly every grow shop worth its pennies will be at the social. So you can launch to all the shops. Every wholesaler, if whether they're there with the stand or whether they're just as the social, will be there. And I know for a fact that the main wholesalers actively look for new products when they're there. So you've also got the manufacturers that you can spy on. So if your nutrient is out, you can go and have a little spy on all the other nutrients. New companies, absolutely worth the investment. Its return is tenfold what you spend. I
think, to be honest with you, Steve, I think it's turned more into, I mean, the word social. Just take that word and just put it in context. If I go back for 6, 7, 8 years when we first started, the money we put in and what we did, we're probably only, we make money now.
Yeah.
But if you look at what we pay the staff to put together from the beginning of the year and what Ben puts in for the greenhouse, we probably don't really come out with a great deal. But it's all about a social. To me, it's all about a social, and everybody, as much as we can from around the world, coming to one event that's quite free and quite sort of friendly.
Closed as well.
Yeah, it's closed. Well, it's a business event basically. So we're not bringing in the outside world where it can eventually get a bit chaotic and a bit out of control. Everybody knows everybody. Everyone behaves, which is a good thing because they should do because they're grown-ups.
Yeah.
Most of them. Yeah, I think the only one, the Achilles heel, is Dan Gulliver. I think he always messes things up.
Yeah.
He works for BioBiz now. So
did you know that he called in sick as well for BioBiz? He told me the truth. That pub close to his must have done some shifty ale.
1.5 pints later, and that was him done.
Yeah. So he's always calling in sick, whether it's a summer social, whether it's the busiest month for BioBiz. And I know that Dan was trying to watch live, but I know he'll be watching the video now. So,
but for me, I think for us, we make some money out of it.
As you should.
As we should, because we put a lot of effort in it. And there's a lot of expense, a lot of organisation. Ray is now running it, who be careful, everybody, because if you don't realise this, she's my partner. So if you upset her, then you upset me.
Worse than if you upset you directly. Yeah.
But no, Ray's pretty tough. She doesn't suffer fools lightly. But she's done a great job because obviously picked up from Leah, and then we had Claire who came in, only lasted 6 weeks, and then she disappeared, and then Ray was left holding the baton. So she's done a brilliant job and really, really impressed with what she's done.
Well
done. Brilliant job to Ray. But from my point of view, it's a social thing. New products, great. New companies, great. You have the ability to be able to see everybody at once in one hit in 2 days instead of driving around the country. Yeah. I agree, driving around the country is probably a better thing over a period of time because you can spend individual time with individual companies, and you haven't got the chaos and the alcohol and everything, and everyone getting a bit sort of out of control to some degree. But from our point of view, it's, we could stop it next year, but I just don't think people will go, well, then we're just stuck with the same old exhibitions, or we haven't, and it adds a little different element to, the industry for 2 days of the year. Yeah, and I think that people appreciate it. A lot of work goes into it. CANNA and SANlight very kindly provide free alcohol all weekend. The food is going to be lovely again this year. I think 2 years ago was a bit of a disaster because we were stuck with.
I just don't think they realised how busy it was going to be. They just ran out, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they were running Tesco's every 5 minutes, try and get more sausages.
But there's a big, massive variety as well. Slim's
there with his vegan food.
Maxie's doing all the
coffees and crepes, I think. Yeah, so I think it'll be even nicer this year. And I think we've got 3 more large teepees.
Okay.
And yeah, I think we've got more stores booked in this year. I think last year we had 130 stores booked in. I think this year we're up to 160, 170 stores.
Nice.
So it will be a lot of, a lot of stores coming, which is what you want.
Yeah.
You want the stores to come in. Those people see each other. People see what everyone else is doing. And you've got the game thing there as well. Yeah. It's not just the run of the mill, business to business. There's a little bit of fun sort of thrown into it. And the other thing, which is, which I really like, is what Ben does. And he starts it in December and he creates this beautiful greenhouse for everyone to wander around, take photos and actually see what products can grow in AutoPot. Obviously, it's a showcase for AutoPot.
Yeah.
But it's just a nice feel. Everyone gets on. We don't have any issues. Security were great last year.
Phenomenal.
They're coming back again this year. We're going to be doing what's it called? A VR or virtual reality thing. Yeah. So in Pavilion 2, because we want to drive people into Pavilion 2 as well, because some people say it goes a little bit isolated. So what we've done, the security, Gareth, is bringing down a big monster TV and a VR machine, whatever they are. And we're giving 3 prizes away.
Okay.
So I think they're going to be posted up on social media in the next few hours, I think, or the next couple of days. And it will be, first prize will be to win a big grow room and all the equipment in there. And then second prize, a slightly smaller grow room. And the sponsors we've donated equipment, and whoever gets the fastest time, free entry. So I can imagine all the drunk drivers that are driving, they'll be all there in Pavilion 2. So we want to try and drive, and we've got Slim's juice bar in there as well. So all the nice juices. So we're going to try and drive the traffic a bit more into Pavilion 2. So then, they don't feel a little bit left out because they're isolated from Pavilion 1. But yeah, as a whole, it's fun, but it's hard work. It's hard work setting anything up on that scale.
It is. I don't think anybody should the goal is not to be a profit making, but it does have to be profit making.
For sure.
If you weren't making a profit after all that work, you would eventually think,
what's the point?
I'd just rather be on a beach in Thailand for that weekend rather than putting all that effort in. And it's great that I've done it, but 3 weeks later, I'm not that much better thought of than everyone. So you have to make a profit.
For
so
sure.
I don't think anybody can say that that's not fair. Yeah. And also, please ever don't not do it, because the problem that would happen, another festival will pop up. You've had 7 years worth of experience about putting this together now. The team are pretty slick. The parking's done nicely. Your surrounding area isn't offended by everybody coming and all the increase in traffic. You've got it pretty nailed on now. Everybody has a great weekend. Please don't stop.
And it's become international as well. So we've got people from New Zealand, from South Africa, exhibitors from Hawaii. We've got people coming from all over the world. So, and it is a nice feel, as long as it doesn't bloody rain, then it'll be fine. But I think we've got a good weather forecast.
I think the next 2 weeks is going to be pissed down. And then hopefully they say that there's heat wave coming for the rest of August. So it'll be good. See. Even last year, though, wasn't phenomenal weather. It wasn't raining, but it was still good. The people make it, don't they? Yeah, I think if it rained, I think it's still, I think the people will make it. We'll be out there getting soaked. It'll be that type of festival.
Yeah, I know. Like
and Ben will be like that at the end.
Ruin the field. I know.
But to finish off the summer social, I don't know, Jason might be kicking me under the table for saying this, because they might be knocking back exhibitors. But for next year, if you're not there this year because you thought it's not ROI positive, then it's not. Don't look at it like that. Look at it like you're giving something back to the industry. Yeah. The growers work hard for the shops, and that's how we make our money. The shops work hard for the wholesalers, and the wholesalers work hard for the manufacturers. We all come together for the weekend. Every year we have a great weekend. Be a part of it. Don't just skulk about looking at new business, trying to meet shops, and get your stand. Do something fun and entertaining. Don't sell your products if you don't want to, but just be a part of it.
At the end of the day, it is a business event. That's why it's only allowed, we don't allow the general public in there. Yeah. And do some business, but enjoy yourselves. But it is about, just giving a little bit back to the guys who've been buying from you for all those years. And we've got the AutoPot massage tent again.
Yes.
We've got more massage people.
I was.
No, I didn't have one either. I got one out for this year.
I'm going to get it like at the very beginning because you just get carried away. And,
yeah, it's just nice little touches, things like
yeah,
that, just to say thank you to everybody for all your business the year before, and yeah, it's just I like it. It's fun.
Good.
Yeah.
So, is there anything that people? Do they still need signing up to do? If they haven't signed up, you need to get in touch with Ray.
It's so basically you need to email Ray at it's RAE. Ray is a girl. It's RAE at autopot.co.uk. It's trade only, or if you're an MVS listener or member, then you can come along too. You just have to prove that you're an MVS member. And you just register for tickets if you're a shop or a horticultural business, and Ray will approve you or not approve you.
Lovely.
And it's free.
Lovely.
And when you get there, it's free beer as well.
Oh, that's even better. And free
lots of free entertainment from Mills. They're doing all the entertainment.
We've got a massive screen.
Yeah,
that'll be interesting.
Mills have got a good lineup this year. Got a good lineup. Mickey Finn.
Yeah.
Mickey Finn.
I've had it because we'll be filming. So obviously we're filming the whole overview AutoPot event. So even though you can't make it, we're going to put something really nice together this year. And then we're also going to be filming the bands on Mills' stage. Yeah. And I'm not allowed to say, you'll know, but you're not allowed to see either. Okay. They've got something really special going on for around.
They probably haven't told me.
Well, we're filming it, so they had to tell me, but something really special is going on the Saturday. So make sure you watch the video. And if you are at the event, we're at our same corner booth as always. This year is a consultation booth, so come and have a chat we've got IT, graphic designers, illustrators, videographers, music producers. If there's anything that you just want free advice on, if you're thinking about doing your own podcast, come and have a chat with us. And that's what we're there for this over the weekend, just to talk. And
that was enough of the NPK media plug.
Coatsy's going to make a rhythm and rhyme over that. So, the weekend after, Hydro Expo
and Product Earth.
Product Earth, yeah. We are involved with Hydro Expo. We'll be going down with Garden Culture. We are a media partner, and that means we'll be doing our podcast on the stand, and Garden Culture will be giving out the magazines and putting something nice on as well. This is where Straight Talking Jason comes into the room. Hello, Jason.
Hello, how are you?
So, to give people a perspective from yourself, how do you feel about the Hydro Expo? Because the main thing for people that don't know, it's the week after AutoPot Summer Social. What was your feeling on that in the first instance?
Initially, if I'm totally honest, absolutely no problems whatsoever. When James came to see me in Barcelona and we signed up, and then as sort of time went along, and I kept my eye on the exhibition maps of Product Earth and the Expo, and they weren't really filling up. And then I looked at it from a point of view of the people that work with me or for me, and the amount of work that they've put in leading up to it, and the week that they're there. They'd just be absolutely exhausted because, they're not going to finish wrapping up and helping Ben until probably Monday evening, maybe even Tuesday. It's, because everything literally goes up Monday and then Monday it's all down. And probably by the end of the day, the field is bare and it's picking up litter and all that sort of stuff. By the way, people, please put litter in the bins when you're at the AutoPot Summer Social because it's someone's home. So please be as environmentally friendly as possible. We're trying to be. We've got environmentally tokens and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, I'm digressing and plugging.
That's an important point. It's sad that we have to say it, really, but we do.
It is. And keep the toilets clean, please. Yeah.
I'm bringing my own.
No, if you don't, then I'm going to take you around to your mother's. So go back to the expo. So the floor plans weren't really filling up. I think James had 3. He had the Product Earth, he had the Expo one. There was one in the middle that had no one in up until about probably 5 weeks ago. And then the floor plans got taken off the website. And if I'm honest, the main reason was, do I want to a week later send my staff to go and do another show? And then I looked obviously at the potential of, is it full?
Yeah.
And is it going to be full? And then the floor plans were taken down. And that sort of put alarm bells in my head a little bit. And then James asked Dan Gulliver for the exhibitors list. And that was the final nail in my coffin, because I'd have been more than happy to give it to James if he'd have asked me.
Yeah.
So I thought, why are you doing that? Dan doesn't even work for me anymore. So that got back to me. A few other people within the industry are like, I think it's a little bit out of order. James has done it the week after. Really don't mind.
Yeah.
James can do it whenever he wants. I've not got a problem at all. And also James wants to try and do the camping and wants to try and get it in the sunny period, which is fully understandable. It's a bit of a clone of ours, but it's open to the general public to try and make it different. Really, I wish James all the best, and he needs to have a good event this year, because he's struggled with all intentions of, trying to get something successful over the past couple of years. He's nearly lost everything over the years.
The location, I think the location last year screwed him over.
Yeah,
and
I heard.
James, for the people that don't know, so this is a little bit of an industry chat for the industry people who know exactly what we're talking about. For the listeners who don't know, James has been a part of the industry for many, many years. A vital part of the industry. He's done a lot within the industry, and he's trying to bring something for you. He's trying to bring a show for the end consumers, and it's super difficult because you've had, like you mentioned briefly at the very beginning, security. So security, more often than not, we're using internal security. Should we give them a shout out at AutoPot?
Yeah.
It's
what they called Elite,
Elite Gardener.
Elite, yeah,
and
Elite Security,
Security,
Gareth, yeah.
They were phenomenal
They
last
were
year.
brilliant.
They didn't bounce around thinking they were Billy Big Bollocks. They were very polite to everybody.
Yeah.
If there was any dramas, I
The
didn't know
only
about
person
them.
they upset was Winter. Me and Dave were there as Winter came through the gate, and Winter didn't have his pass in the car, and all security kicked off, snatched his keys out, the keys all went off. Yeah, but I think it'll be okay.
At least he knows his shit's secure.
Exactly.
So dead quick as well. A funny little story last year. Half the NPK team building the stand were there on a Thursday.
Yeah.
They're already in. It was Barry, it was Jalal, the quiet ones, the ones that don't put themselves out there.
Yeah.
Well, at the time, Barry's on podcast now. At the time, Barry was behind the scenes. He sat down with one of the lads from Elite, from the security team, having a drink. And then we turn up on the Friday afternoon, comes through on the radio, NPK are here. And he goes, "Sound, be over in a bit, or be over now." He sends round to Jay from Highlight, Barry and Jalal, who are NPK, and he goes, "Just got to go, it's NPK at the door. I bet they can be a bit of a handful." And they just rolled over, pissed themselves. Jay went, this is Barry and Jalal from NPK, and he went, "All right, lads." I just walked off. We thought it was hilarious, but yeah, it's very funny. But brilliant job. And they're internal, the part of the industry. Great. When you start using external security, who think that they've got the SIA badge on their arms, the big 10-inch biceps, they think that the ex-SAS, and they love to let people know that they're the hardest bastards in the room. It doesn't go down well, especially in our industry. It doesn't go down very well. That's an issue that everybody putting on a show's got to deal with.
Yeah.
Then you've got the companies that have got stands choosing, do they have samples? Do they not have samples?
Yeah.
You might think, why is that an issue? I'll tell you, if you don't have samples, then the people that are looking around are just looking at you like, why have you got samples? I want to test your product. Legitimate reason. If you do have samples, let's say the
or want to put it on eBay the next day and sell it.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
If you give that many samples away in that area, the shops, and it's proven, go quiet for 2 or 3 weeks after because everyone's using the samples.
Well, that's used to happen in America.
Yeah.
I mean, Psycho, many, many years ago, I don't think they do it anymore, but I think they all used to do it, not just Psycho, Advanced Nutrients and everything. And it was big in the US. And you would get people turning up in vans with shopping trolleys, coming in, loading the shopping trolleys up, going out to the van, putting it in there, and then repeating it as much as they could throughout the day. And it would kill the trade in the, for various stores for a period of time because no one was buying anything because they'd just been given it all.
So it's a hard one because the manufacturers are going to look after the shops. They also want to look after the end users.
But they want to get the brand out there as well.
Exactly.
So, it's how do you do it?
So there's all these factors around, external factors around having a public show. It's very hard. And I take my hat off to James
so do I.
for trying it. There's nothing but
I think people, Highlight pulled out and CANNA pulled out. And they had an issue, as far as I'm aware, with regards to the product earth and the expo, people wandering across, and then the association between that and that.
Yeah.
I personally don't give a damn about that. But from my point of view, it was staff. It was right after the show.
Yeah.
And, it's just, do I want to spend another 12 grand? No, not really.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what the floor plan is now, because it's not back on the site. I don't know what the numbers are coming. I mean, hopefully James has done a good job of it, and the PR is good.
On the Instagram, we follow on the Instagram, and it feels like it's been filling up, because every day now there's new exhibitor with Mills, new exhibitor with, I'd have to go through them, but there's plenty of new exhibitors coming through. I think people are just a little bit, if it's not going to go as well as he hoped or people hoped, it's probably because it's new and people are wary of new things going on. I think if this does good enough to make James is going to do well from it, to be able to put all this effort in for next year. If he does well enough to want to do it the year after, I think it'll build.
I mean, it's, James likes pushing it close to the edge always, and why not? I don't know whether it's the right time at the moment, or whether people will be apprehensive with going, or whether they just don't give a damn anymore. Personally, I'd like to think they don't give a damn anymore, because obviously, you've seen and I've seen, and I know James seen what the guys are doing from Nottingham at the NEC with the CBD Expo, and that is rammed. Yeah. So you'd like to think that other people from that expo, or maybe James has marketed his product at there, and people will follow suit and go over. The difference that might cause problems, and I know it's not caused problems before, is the association of possible people doing things that they shouldn't be doing, according to the law over here, which is an ASS, which is an acronym of AutoPot on a social. So we're both in the same game, really.
Yeah. But I think I gave a good few away last week. I've got some tickets for the Hydro Expo and some camping tickets. So if anyone's interested in going, I know it will be a good event. Product Day does well every year. Hydro Expo's a new element to it. So we'll be there. We'll be there with the podcast on Saturday in the Hydro Expo on our booth. I want everybody, all the end growers, using whatever system, whatever nutrients, you're going to be able to come on the podcast. Me and Barry won't be there on the Saturday. We've got other business commitments, but we'll be there on the Friday, be there on the Sunday. The Saturday, though, the whole team's going to, the whole media team will be there, and we want the growers to ask questions on the podcast. And then hopefully we'll have 10, 15, 20 different questions. And then we'll come back the week after and answer them, or when we start back up in September, and we'll answer them on the podcast and get people involved. So if you go on, make sure you come and see us on our stand and get involved on the podcast. And it doesn't matter what you say, because if you say something stupid, it'll be edited out. So don't worry about it. You can just get on there and say it a few times. That is the week after AutoPot.
At the bank holiday weekend, is it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or is it Saturday, Sunday, Monday? I don't know. I'm sure.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So Monday's a bank holiday the day after.
Is it?
I guess.
Well,
I'm not sure.
It is actually the 26th. So yours is 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
Theirs is 23, 24, 25.
Right.
With the Monday being a bank holiday.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice. For everybody
busy
else.
Weekend.
I'll be in
busy week.
Yeah.
That will be. People who are doing both, they'll be exhausted. Yeah. I know they will. Because it's long old days.
I'm going to be knackered. I'm going to be knackered. It's like, it's good stress, but I'm proper stressed out about it. And that's why I'm not willing to do 3 or 4 shitty podcasts because I've got time to do them. So just take a nice 4-week break, give the listeners a break as well. And we'll be back in September. And what I will be doing is I'll probably write 2 or 3 podcasts in that month and come back with some really good hot topics. Yeah. And some international interviews as well. Got some coming up. Yeah. So you have released some new products.
Have I?
Yeah, I'm led to believe so. Oh. Yeah, we've got videos, we've got evidence. So I've also got to say a public thank you to Jason as well, Jason as AutoPot, because we launched our media company last year, and the hardest part of launching a business is getting that business, and without too much pushing and talking about it, Jason gave us one of our very first jobs as a full media company, which is it's a little bit of a leap
Still
of
not
faith.
finished, is it?
And we'll talk about that in a minute. It was a leap of faith, and I just want to say publicly, thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure.
And you will be able to see those videos. I imagine you're going to launch them around September time.
Yeah, I think so. As soon as you've done them, we'll launch them.
So these videos are the way they're put together, super complicated, because trying to get Jason in a room, one of the busiest men in the industry, to sit down for a day.
Can you just say that again so my girlfriend hears that? One of the busiest men in the industry, because she doesn't believe that I am.
Oh, yeah. So Jason, one of the busiest men in the industry,
you, Ray.
whose partner Ray must have even more to deal with because she's the partner of the busiest man in the industry. Well done, Ray.
Thank you.
No, but it is one of the longest projects that we've done. But putting it all together, taking a bit of time, and the final product's going to be really nice. 15 videos, instructional videos, how to use all the systems. And we'll be uploading those onto our YouTube channel as well. And Jason will be putting them onto his YouTube channel, onto his website. So we're very proud of that. First job. Yeah, it was the first job that we took on.
Right.
And it's just a nice way to round off our year.
Yeah.
Just to get them
got
all
another
finished
job for me to do as well for the R&D room when that's done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
You should have that done by 2020.
right, fuck off, straight talking, Jason. We have done lots of other projects in a nice time frame
All very quick.
for people that are less busy than Jason. No, but that's what we've done is we've done the instructional videos, and have you launched them yet? They're available to buy, aren't they? Like the Auto 8s.
The Auto 8s are available. The Auto 3s are available. The Auto 3s were available a year and a half ago, but I forgot to launch them.
Right,
Because really, the tray systems are initially designed for multi-level growing in countries where it's where certain things are legal.
Yeah, we'll get on to that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And then obviously we've launched them into the industry worldwide, and they're going really well. You know, they really are. I mean, people say, "Oh, Jason, didn't you just say one valve, one pot?" Yes, I did. All right, yeah, I did. I'm hypocritical. So, but at the end of the day, on mass production and multi-level growing, and the reason we designed it is because Dan, at the time when he was working for AutoPot, he was over at the Grove in Vegas, and hopefully I'll get you in there when we go there in December. And they were doing really well, but it was just the maintenance of, even though they were just feeding super soil and water, it was just, you got 9,000 pots, 9,000 aqua valves, it's just like,
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Even Dean Finley would struggle with
that.
Yeah,
he would, yeah. Mr. Octopus Arms. And so Kevin at the time was the grower there, and Dan was in the States and popped in to see Kevin, and Kevin said, look, could you possibly design, which turned out to be the Auto 9XL. So we designed that, and that was the first place we ever put it into, and they're now flying. Now the Auto 9XL is all over the States and all over Europe, and it's a big seller for us all over the world on multi-level growing. And then obviously we brought out the Auto 8 and the Auto 3 to just fill gaps. And then we've got other trays that they'll be in the tutorial videos, but they're not actually available. We've only got 3 of them.
Yeah.
So we just left it at that for the minute, and then we've got another little thing that we're going to launch in the new year. I'm just doing the due diligence on it at the moment, and that's the AquaValve 5.
Okay.
Did you know about that? You heard?
I've heard about something. There was whispers of something on podcast 13. Do you remember those 6 years ago?
Yeah.
And it was...
So we had
save a swimming pool worth of water.
Yeah. Oh no, this is the hanging basket. So I've got I've got lots of things coming out. So I've got a hanging basket that I'm designing that people have probably seen on the AutoPot Watering Systems Facebook page. So this hanging basket has a central column. It has a water column inside the basket.
Yeah.
So the idea is it'll be dual purpose. So it'll be for Mr. and Mrs. Jones at home, either side of their door, fill up these reservoirs and have a little Lenny stick indicator in there so you can see how much the water's using. Problem is, things growing so well and so big and so fast. 5 litres is only lasting 2 days.
Oh.
But if you look at it in the perspective when we spoke about the water saving of hanging baskets on podcast before, there was a survey years ago, and it must be about 8-9 years ago, where the hanging basket water usage in the UK, and this was 8-9 years ago, would fill up, the wasted water would fill up the old Wembley Stadium every week.
That was it. I knew it was phenomenal.
And, and that was apparently fact.
Yeah.
So you can imagine hanging basket watering's got a bit more popular these days, and it's all over the world. We're big with hanging baskets in the UK. So I've had a hanging basket design in my head for years. And then just out the blue, I got an email from a German guy who at the time was living in the States. And he said, I'd like you to sign an NDA. I've got a new hanging basket. Oh, yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
So I signed,
this one before.
so I signed the NDA. He sent over the drawings. I went, oh, you bastard, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So he will be getting royalties from the design. The design is different in that the column of water is built within the basket. The basket is a standard shape, the sort of like half moon shape, which, anyone could have designed. So we've incorporated this. The few little tweaks and sort of like design alterations that we've got to make it spot on. Probably won't be launched until September 2020 because, I don't like to release crap.
If we start our video now.
Yeah.
A perfect time.
Well, yeah, no, if you start your video now from the new R&D room, we'll be able to launch them at the same time. Won't we? So there's the hanging basket, but going back to the AquaValve 5. So the AquaValve 5, so the initial valve, AquaValve we had a 2 mil hole. And then the AquaValve that we have at the moment has a 3 mil hole. And then the AquaValve that will come out will have a 5 mil aperture. I'm just doing the due diligence on that at the moment. We've changed a few things here and there. We'll make it look a little bit sexier, but in essence, it will be the same.
Yeah.
But what we have to do as well is change all the fittings because obviously the 6 mil pipe will no longer fit that valve anymore. So we've got to have new pipe, new fitting. So everything that we'll be doing when this is launched will only be available from AutoPot. You won't be able to buy it from anywhere else because it's AutoPot fittings, AutoPot design fittings. So we've got to remake everything. And just in case everyone's a little bit worried, if they've got 10,000 AquaValves sitting in their warehouse going, oh shit, he's going to leave us with this. We're going to pre-warn everybody when it's going to come out so people can then bring their stock down and then we'll launch it. So people will have plenty of time. We're aiming hopefully for January this coming year. Whether it might be another month or two, I don't know. But I just want to make sure with everything else that's going on, I don't want to sort of like send it out in the public domain until, it's all the dots have been dotted and all the I's have been ticked and all the T's have been crossed. Because otherwise, it just end up going backwards. Yeah. So yeah, with everything else, and all because I'm pulled from pillar to post at the moment, especially with what's going on in the industry, commercial production of medical cannabis around the world. There's a lot of dedication from the whole team that are out there. Myself, Dave, and the backup team. That helping us. Providing invoices, quotes, drawings. You name it. But yeah, we're doing well. I mean, we must have the ones that we know of that we deal with directly. We must have 30, 40 facilities around the world. And then all the distributors have facilities all around the world. And we're getting contacted on a daily basis all around the world. Yeah. And it's going great guns. Really.
Well, I made a statement when we started the podcast February, March, and it was a little bit unfounded, but I think I could stretch this truth. And you might be able to help me, that I can't see any other hydroponic system outselling AutoPot globally. Have we got any idea?
Well,
there's definitely no UK system like Multiflows and IWSs and Medusa systems and Alien systems. They're all great. I know for a fact that they don't outsell AutoPots.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
But is maybe there's an American system or
not really. I think we, regards to the sort of concept that we provide people with that, no power, gravity fed, that sort of concept. I think we pretty much own the market with that, and the brand stands for itself. But we're only tickling, scratching the sides at the moment. It's got to be bigger in the garden centre markets and the run of the mill market. Hence why we're changing, the valve design to make it even slicker. So, people, if they must chuck crap in the tank and then run, molasses through their lines, then carry on. But I'd still not. A little tip for people who want to use organics.
Yeah.
Don't put it in the tank.
Yeah.
Put it in the tray.
Yeah.
Little tip. What you do, you can use organics, especially there's a really nice organic company. A little friend of mine runs over here.
Is it CANNA Organics?
No, not CANNA Organics.
BioCanna?
CANNA.
Bio.
It's
none of my biz.
BioBiz.
None of my business.
No, none of your business. So BioBiz. So let's say, for example, you use BioBiz and you want to grow your plants organically. So you would put your organic soil in the pot. You know that organic soil will have a certain amount of NPK in it.
Yeah.
Natural organic stuff in it. So you could use EcoThrive, because I hear EcoThrive have got new soil, or you could use a mixture of BioBiz and EcoThrive, or you could use all of whatever. So you know that those plants have got some food for a duration in those pots. Then let's say the food, you've been told it lasts a month. So at week 3, you'd go in and you'd just be feeding water from one reservoir. You have a separate reservoir that's smaller, that you're only going to give them a shot for 24 hours.
Yeah.
So what you do, you take the coupling off the water tank, you put it onto the feed tank. So you've mixed that up the night before or the morning before, because if you leave organic fertilizers in a reservoir for too long, they'll go off.
Yeah.
So then you change the coupling from the organic fertilizer, let the plants feed for 24 hours on that, turn it off, swap it back on, and hey presto, you are now feeding organic fertilizers, and the water then just rinses through the lines. Another little tip is, once you've done that organic feed for 24, 36 hours, plug it onto the water, turn the taps on at the end, flush it, and then just feed them for another 5 or 6 days on water, and then reverse back to the organic feed.
And this is this with the, we can do this with the new 5 mil.
I would just, commercially, no one uses organic fertilizers in systems that deliver water via pipework.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
Just don't, because they block them.
Yeah.
Commercial growers on 40 hectares of tomato, cucumber production will not take the risk to using drippers with an aperture of 0.5 mil and allow organic fertilizer to feed through there, get pressurized through there, and then any sediment that's left in there while the pipes are in the sun, dry, and then form crust or crud, and then try and get through the aperture. They just won't do it. I mean, another way that we tell small growers, if you want to use or add any boosters, the best way to do it is turn the system off the night before. Any boosters that you have, then put them in, mix them up in the bucket at the ratios that the manufacturers recommend. You've turned the system off the night before. When you go in there the next day, there'll be no water left in your tray, but there'll be plenty of moisture left in the pot.
Yeah.
Pour the water around the aquavalve, not through the top of the pot, around the aquavalve, go through each pot. And so you're filling it up to where the pipe comes in, to the overflow point, in essence. And then leave it for 30 minutes and then go back, do that again, fill it back up to the overflow point of the pipe. And then the following day, turn the tap back on, and then repeat that process every 4, 5, 6 days. And that's the way you can get all the organics, and that just keeps it all nice and clean. Because the problem is, what I see people doing is making things too complicated for growing.
Yeah.
And making things too complicated for growing, it's not the right thing to do. You should keep things simple. When people start going, I've got this problem, and go into a shop, you need this to fix it. You need this to fix it. No, you don't. You need to get your environment correct, and then you'll be right.
There we go again. That is the top tip to know if you're in a shit shop or a good shop. If you're in a bad situation, the first thing that they want to do is sell you something, bad shop. Yeah. If you're in a shop and they start asking questions, well, what's your environment? What's your temperature? What's this? And they dig in, they go, actually, you just need to do this, this, and this, and I solve it. You're in a good shop. Yeah. So please start asking questions and decide whether you're in a good shop or a bad shop.
I'd probably say 95% of all people's problems when they grow indoors under lights are environment.
Yeah.
And all they think, when they look and the plants start struggling, and they go, oh, God, I've got calcium deficiency. I've got this deficiency. No, you bloody haven't. Your environment's not correct. And it's one other thing as well that we're going to start trying, because I've told you we're going to do a YouTube channel. It's called the the KPN podcast. That's what it will be called. Or the HMP podcast.
Yeah. Specials.
But one thing that I've noticed over the last sort of year or so is when people take small cuttings, whether it's tomatoes or whatever, and they're growing in tents, they take small cuttings and then they probably harden those cuttings off and maybe put them in a pre-vegetative stage and then put them in a tent under very intense lights. And they've got all these micro-environment controlling units, and do they think everything's spot on? It's not. It's not spot on, because you've taken a little tiny delicate plant that's got a microenvironment of humidity of 75%, a temperature of 22%. I will guarantee you 100%. You stick a plant in a big pot and stick it under a light that's a meter above, I'll guarantee you will struggle, because the microenvironment around that tiny little plant, when they're all huddled together, is now exposed. By putting a dome over the top of that pot and letting that plant grow into the dome and keep the microenvironment within the dome, you're 2 weeks ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
By not doing that, you're going to have lockout, this out, run into the shop to try and give it more remedies that's not going to help. And just very basic, simple things that people need to know to try and make sure that their grow from cutting to final harvest goes smoothly. Just those simple things that people take into account, because they'll look on the meters or the monitors and go, oh yes, we have 55% humidity and we have 23 degrees. Well, put the thermometer underneath the bloody light and next to the plant and see what you're getting. A very simple way. If people don't want to spend money on propagation dome, it's just gently dampen down the surface of the soil or the substrate. The humidity will then rise, and you just do that every, once in the morning, once in the evening, and that will just help that plant in the early stage. Because you've got to keep when you grow, tomatoes, they need humidity of 75% all day long.
Yeah.
Medical cannabis, for example, you start off growing the cuttings, you germinate at 80%, you try and harden off about 70-65%. You want to keep those plants in the vegetative stage around 55 to 65%. And then when you go into the flowering stage, you don't want to go any lower than 50%. The Americans might agree with me, but you're wrong. It's no lower than 50% because the leaves just shut down.
Yeah.
And they can't do what they're supposed to do. We'll get powdery mildew. That's why I have to do that. Grow plants properly and you won't get powdery mildew.
Yeah.
And I've been into there are some good facilities these days that we've been going in around the world, and they are doing well. But the problem is there's not a lot of them. People who don't listen think they know the most.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning every day, and we still listen to people. People come up with novel ideas and novel suggestions. Well, give that a go. That sounds, good concept to try.
That's something I try and get across on the podcast as well, is because we do a podcast, and I've heard recently as well, which apparently we're doing really well in the US, and they've got a lot of US subscribers, is because there's an assumed intelligence with the British accent. And I thought, I wonder if that's the normal British accent, and I wonder if the Scouse accent can get involved in that assumed intelligence. But I think because people listen, we do a podcast and we've been doing it for so long, they assume that everything that we say is correct. And I guarantee you there'll be a mistake on every single podcast that we've said. There's something that we'll say 3 years ago that I've now say completely different.
Yeah.
There'll be, when me and Thomas were doing the podcast, it was great because Thomas came at it from a very realistic what's going on, what actually happens, and I came at it from a technically we should be doing this, and bring the two perspectives together. Now, Barry's got an opinion on humidity. So when they're small, he agrees humidity is very important at all stages. When they're very small, you need to have the domes over them. I would like to keep the domes over them as long as possible. And then I'll have a humidifier in there, keep it at 60%, keep it perfect, dampen the floor, and then ease it off. Barry, a little bit less strict. He'd be like, take the domes off. If the humidifier is available and it's all ready to go, use a humidifier. If I have got one, then I'm not going to stress out about getting one, because I can wet the floor, I can do this, I can still make sure my plants aren't bad. But he calls it mollycoddling. And if you mollycoddle your plants, then if something does go wrong and your humidity suddenly drops, they're not ready for it at all. If you harden them off to the next level where they are like properly hardened off, then they can cope with a little bit more. So there's, for growers that want to do it perfectly, Barry knows the way I'm saying it is the perfect way to do it. But then what growers will do is they'll do it perfectly for a few weeks, and then they might lose a bit of interest and think, just do it, whatever. And then when you've had your grow room as perfectly as you can, and then you forget about it and you leave it, then you can have worse results than if you've really tried to harden them off. So if you're going to do it perfectly or try to do the best, you've got to do the best all the way through. If you're going to be a bit lackadaisical, then make sure harden off as best you can, because in a nutshell, what happens from what I've read, because I haven't seen it with my own eyes, when you've got perfect humidity, good levels of CO2, environment's good, the plant will produce a lot of stomata. and will photosynthesize as efficiently as it can. When it's going through a hard period, like what Barry will try to put them through, they won't produce as much stomata because they know that the environment's not great. So then when Barry has a bad period, or growers like Barry will have a bad period, the plant's not stressed because as much as mine would be, because it's hard, properly hard. So there's just that many aspects that what we say. So what I'm getting across is what we say is right for the most part. And if it's an opinion, we'll state it's an opinion. But this growing world and what we do is so vast. There can't be any single person that claims to know it all. We definitely don't know it all. And we're learning all the time. And I want to reiterate that to the listeners, is that listen to what we say. I read a lot. I listen a lot. I watch a lot. And I try and put all that information with my own information into a podcast. What the listeners should do is now go listen to what I've said about humidity and go, okay, so that's what Stephen's saying from the podcast, and he knows a little bit. Let's see if I can find information that confirms it, or see if I find lots of information that disagrees with it, and then form your own opinions. Not one source of information should be a sole source of information. You should use them to form your own opinions.
What makes me smile now is the term VPD. It's been around for generations and generations. Now everybody's designing a little VPD machine and get your humidity and your temperature right, and no commercial grower in the world. Well, no, that's not true in the world. I'm talking cucumbers, tomatoes. They don't use VPD. As long as they've got the humidity and the temperature correct, then the VPD will be correct. Yeah. They'll be fine. It's just a buzzword, another buzz thing that's come out. VPD, correct, everybody get it. So you've got to get the VPD.
I feel maybe a little bit responsible for that, because I feel like we've talked about humidity and temperature that much. What's the next stage for people that want to go that little bit further? Pressure, like plant pressure, is what VPD is, and the pressure between the inside of the leaf and the grow room temperature. I feel like it just gives you, for the people that want it,
bit more accuracy.
It just gives you that little bit more, and maybe understanding of how the plant feels in a room. So 50% humidity at 22 degrees is very different to 50% at 28 degrees. And if you've got I don't understand VPD. I'm still trying to learn, and I won't do a proper podcast on it by myself until I'm fully immersed in it. But I don't expect to understand it. I just want to know where the curves are. I want to know how the plant's feeling. But
I mean, a good grower knows what their plants look like. They feel the plant.
Yeah. That's what
it doesn't matter what it is. Yeah, no, a good grower. Commercial growers will go, they'll have their monitoring equipment, but good commercial growers will go in their facility, whatever they're growing, and they'll know if the crop's responding to the light levels, the CO2, the humidity, the temperature, you name it. They'll know because they're so familiar with the plants.
Yeah.
And you can't learn that from computers. You can't learn that from books. That's all about practice and being in the field. And you still learn every day. So,
Things I learned I learned I learned everything from my books and then applied it to real growing. So I didn't real grow and then reference the book. I'm a big reader, but it's because I love it. I'll read as much as I can and then apply that knowledge in real world terms. And there is a lot of differences. You'll read every book and you'll say Pythium. The first thing you'll notice, it smells to high heaven. I've had Pythium and I thought,
doesn't smell at all.
It doesn't really smell that bad, if I'm honest. The first sign is what's happening above.
Yeah.
The second sign is what's happening with your pH. If you're a proper hydroponic DWC type grower, you'll see the pH. The third thing that'll happen is they clump horribly together and go gluey. Even at that stage, I've ripped them off, smelt them, and thought, it just smells a bit rooty. And it's when it gets real bad and like they're nearly dead, then it will start to have the horrible decaying smell.
Temperature gets too hot.
Yeah. So there is a lot of things I do. Barry takes the piss out of me all the time. He said, you're just a fucking bookworm. But there is a lot of differences, but I still love my books and I apply everything I learn and then get real world experience and the real world experience is the proper experience.
Yeah.
So just before we move on to your globe-trotting experiences and what you're about to do, what were those systems that were out now with the Auto 9?
Yeah, Auto 9, Auto 8, Auto 9 XL. And what's that? It's a big square. I can't remember how big it is, but it holds 9 XL pots or 25 litre, or for the guys in America, 6.6 gallon, and one valve control in the lot. And then you've got they can also put the smart pots in there as well, which I think are 18.9.
Yeah.
Litres.
Unbelievably, shops can buy them for the same price as the plastic pots,
they are
which
the
is
same,
phenomenal. Brilliant.
Yeah. And then we've got the Auto 8, which is a rectangular shaped. I think you can fit 2 of those in a 1.2 square metre. And that can either have the 15-litre pots or 3.9 gallon pots for the guys in the States, or the 2.2 gallon pots and the 8.5 litre pots for the guys in the UK. And then we've got the Auto 3 XL, which is just a 3 version of the 9 XL. Yeah. And that's just to fill gaps.
Is this has probably been out for a while, and I'm going to look silly, but the XL with the propagation sort of lid, it's got the holes cut out in the net pots. How long has that been out for? Because it's something that came to my attention last year when we were doing the videos.
Oh, what you mean the aquaplate?
Yeah.
Well, we don't really sell tons of those.
Yeah, but I liked it. I've never
I like
did the video.
It was really designed. It's the thing with that. You have to make sure your water temperature is spot on.
Yeah.
And if it starts going over 21, 22, 23, you're just taking the oxygen out of the water, and the plant the roots are hanging in the water. They're really exposed, or can be really exposed. You don't get it right. I really designed that for third world countries. We've got a project in the Maldives where they are growing cantaloupe melon.
Yeah.
They've leased an island from the Republic of the Maldives government for 50 years. It's a 5-hectare site, as far as I remember. They've taken the vegetation out of the middle of the site and put up 14 greenhouses. And basically, they brought in a desalination plant to take, the salt water and make it clean. And they are then growing rock melon in the central hole of the aquaplate, capping off the other ones. One rock melon, take the plants down. It's only a 3-month crop. And then they will literally speedboat them over to the islands because they command a big price. That instead of them either coming from Dubai or wherever else, can only grow in Dubai for a certain periods of the year. It can't grow from sort of like June through to September because it's just too hot. But a lot of produce does come from Dubai. But you can imagine the carbon footprint of trying to fly all this fresh produce into these 5-star, islands in the Maldives.
I can think about it, but I've never been there.
No, horrible place to go to. And so what they're trying to do is become a little bit more self-sustainable in the Republic of the Maldives and try and grow as much as they can with the sort of limitations that they've got. And believe it or not, even though they've got coconut trees everywhere, they don't have coconut processing. They don't have the facility or the ability to be able to do that. So trying to bring in substrate into these islands is, not really sort of like the way to do it. So that's why I designed that as well. But there's another thing as well, the AutoPot plant skirt that I did last year. That's been out for a little while. That's really just plonk a big, massive pot in a tray, a square tray, either 80 centimetres or 100 centimetres square. And this plant, you put the pot in the middle, can be a smart pot, be a fabric pot, be a plastic pot. And this skirt goes over the top of the pot with a drawstring around the stem of the plant, so you don't get any insects going into the top of the soil. And then the whole thing just goes around the tray. You put an aqua valve and a cover in there, and you can grow a monster plant, which we've got quite a few facilities using those as well.
When those, I know eventually it'll become fashionable. I think that time could be soon, because what I see a lot of people doing is not doing the 4 plants under a light, or even more focusing all their energy on producing one really good plant. So one plant under one light, 50-litre cloth pot. And I think once people know about them and we start educating people about the plant
as well. Yeah, they're cheap and cheerful.
It's silver on one side, reflects the light back up, keeps the water cool, automatically irrigated, no algae.
No debris in there as well.
I think they'll start really doing well in the UK. Yeah. Briefly, 2 more topics I want to cover with you, Ali. Yeah, your jet setting. What around the world? I know I think there's only 3 or 4 countries we don't have a single subscriber in now. One of them is North Korea. Right. So I'm hopeful for North Korea soon. With the Trump visits and that, he might pass on the word. So whereabouts have you been? With what projects have you got? Because I know that South Africa's doing phenomenally well.
I mean,
recently.
Dave, to be honest with you, Dave Gulliver is probably doing most of the travelling at the moment. I've got a busy schedule at the end of the year. I'm away for a month. I've got projects to go and see in Colombia. Then I have a week in Colombia, a week in Chile, few days in Florida, a few days in Boston, a week in Vegas, then back home. So I'm away for a month. But projects that we've got projects all over the place at the moment. South Africa, America, Canada, Macedonia, Greece. You know, we're speaking to the Italian ministry at the moment. They're all over the place.
And this is in big part, which is the second thing I wanted to talk to, so we'll put the two together, is the growing legalization of medicinal cannabis. Correct me if I'm wrong though, South Africa?
South Africa, yeah.
Greece and Macedonia area?
Greece has, yeah. A lot of them are only for medical purposes, but what seems to be happening in the US, obviously Canada's obviously way ahead as of the 17th of October last year. States or provinces, obviously Canada's fully legal now, but states within the United States quite often become medical and then quite soon afterwards will become recreational. In my view, I'm tentatively worried, but then I look at Canada's model, then I'm not.
Yeah.
And the reason being is, when I've said this all along, when they had their dreadlocks and they were all playing Bob Marley and they were campaigning with the governments to try and legalize cannabis, or free the weed, as they used to call it. They were trying to get the governments to overturn the rules because they wanted people to be able to take it without the control of the government.
Yeah.
Yes, there should be some regulation. Now you're at that level because the pharmaceutical companies are obviously quite rightly a little bit worried and concerned, hence why they're putting money into it. What my concern is that, yes, there should be and there will be commercial facilities, and there are commercial facilities all around the world. But no way should any government in the world stop general public growing their own cannabis. Yeah. They shouldn't, whether it's for medical purposes or recreational purposes. The ball's gone too far down the hill now, so the whole world will eventually become recreational, because it will be. Whether it's in 5-10 years time. I saw something. What was it on the news the other day? 3 of the guys from but they're saying 3 MPs. But what made me a little bit, well, the UK might legalise it. It'll be fully legalised in 5 to 10 years. Wake up, guys! You're going to miss a fortune, and everything is going to come in. The Canadians will come in. They'll all come in. And suddenly you won't be producing because you've been swamped and the price of the product will have gone down to nothing. So you won't be making any money at all. But that is by and by. People should always, once they've realized that, okay, this isn't actually that bad. Opiates are slightly worse than, medical cannabis. People should be allowed to grow their own. They shouldn't be told that they shouldn't grow their own. And the classic example was, it must have been about 5-6 years ago, myself and Dan and a few others were in Chicago, and it was when MJ Biz was really at the very beginning. The MJ Biz show, now it's a monster. And we were at I think it was the Chicago Hilton, and we did a stand there. There was only probably about, 150 booths there. And onto the booth came a group of ladies that turned out that they were on the board of the Illinois committee that decided on who got dispensary licenses and who got cultivation licenses. So I was having a chat with him. I said, just out of interest, what are your laws in the state of Illinois and in Chicago? Is it legal for people to grow their own? Oh, no. Only regulated, approved state companies can do it. Okay, right. So in essence, I said to her, and she didn't go down too well, is that you're controlling the dispensaries. You are controlling the cultivation companies, and you're not allowing Mr. and Mrs. Jones at home to grow their own. No. So what happens if I am Mr. and Mrs. Jones at home and I'm growing 4 plants? Oh, well, you'll go to prison. My answer to that is build a lot of prisons, because you're going to need them. Recently, they've now legalized it in the state of Illinois, as far as I'm aware. So it's now, I think it's full recreational, because they had to, because you can't have one law for the people who've got the money to be able to set up the facilities and the dispensaries, and another law for everybody else who they want to sell to. Yeah. Why shouldn't people be allowed to grow their own and not be dictated by the government? Because they shouldn't. People are allowed to go to a pub and buy a beer, but they're also allowed to go to a homebrew shop and brew beer. And it will be, I think there will be some resistance at government level to try and control it in the initial stages, and there is in certain places. But I think they'll never be able to police it, because people will eventually decide to go, you know what, I don't want to go and spend this amount of money at a dispensary, and I'm not really sure. And I like growing tomatoes, I like growing cucumbers, and I might just grow. And by the way, my uncle isn't very well, and I'm going to try and do this. And who are you, government, who've been telling me for years and years and years that I should be taking opiates for various things and killing so many people in the process? Well, why can't I take a chance and grow some plants and try and heal my uncle or my father or my mother? And I just think there's a little bit of double standard. I mean, we touched on it earlier on before we got on there. You know, you've got the likes of Theresa May's husband, the likes of the guy who's in charge of DW Pharmaceuticals, and the other ladies in the government as well. There's double standards floating. There always has been. There always will be. The problem is with social media, it brings it to everyone's, everyone's forefront. It brings it to the forefront of everybody, and they get to see, what's happening all the time. So from my point of view, I think there will be resistance in government, particularly here, because the UK is the British. Because we're British and we know best, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but the thing is, I think, at the end of it, it's not, sadly, it's now not keeping along the lines of healing people, people wanting to free the weed and It's now about money. Yeah. And that's, and you can see people, they don't care. I mean, I've heard some horror stories over the last 18 months. One particular facility and this is Health Canada, who's supposed to be in control of, the regulations and everything. Well, one particular company that I won't name produced a huge amount of medical cannabis and recreational cannabis, managed to slip it through the net, and it was covered in powdery mildew. They didn't give a damn because they were going to put it all into extraction. Yeah. So then you've got that being put into vape pens and this and that and the other, being consumed by people, and they managed to get away with it. So, yeah.
I thought you were going to mention unfortunately, the Canadian facility, and this was absolutely unbeknownst to them, that where they found myclobutanol through, I don't think it was Eagle 20, I think it was a contamination, right. But myclobutanol came up as residue tested, and they had to destroy everything, hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of crop. Yeah. And that was, when I started this whole PGR campaign, I literally found out I didn't know about myclobutanol, and then I started the campaign, did research into PGRs, came across myclobutanol, came across the story in Canada. Right. Myclobutanol being, in my opinion, the baddest, because Google myclobutanol for anyone's listening, and you'll see a compound come up, and you'll see a C with 3 straight lines connected to a H. That's hydrogen cyanide. But the 3 straight lines means it's a very, very strong bond. If you consumed it on an apple, not a problem really to the human body. When you combust it, combustion is one of the strongest effects, breaks up those 3 chains, becomes vaporized hydrogen cyanide. So if you have myclobutanol, medicinal cannabis or tobacco, and you combust it, you're inhaling hydrogen cyanide. And my Eagle 20 is for powdery mildew. It's a fungicide. Yeah. And that it should be banned in most countries. And I just thought, I'm properly doing something about this. Touch wood, we haven't found any myclobutanol in any products. All the products we have tested have been clean, as you would find in phase 1, with everyone jumping at the chance. But yeah, I'm very passionate about that sort of stuff, and it's scary.
It is. That's why people they'll hear these horror stories, or prices of unless you go to where is it, Oregon? Is it Oregon where the prices have just fallen out? There's everything's so cheap. But now they've just passed a law, I believe in Oregon, I'm correct in saying, I think it's Oregon, where they can ship over the border, so they can grow, and now they can do, interstate sales to other suppliers, I think, that are obviously on the same sort of thought pattern. But, I think once people realise that they can grow their own, I think they will. I mean, you look at Canada. I mean, in Canada, I must admit at the moment, it's probably one of our biggest markets in the last year, last 8 months. I mean, Canada has since the 17th of October. And I think the reason is because when Canada came out and basically said, we're now going to be fully recreational, and everyone can buy it above the age of 18. That's another thing I want to talk about as well, is age restrictions, without a doubt. They obviously announced that people could grow 4 plants. So obviously all those years ago, I did the 4-pot system for the US market. That is now the biggest selling product in that market by a country mile. We are shipping containers over left, right and centre. I mean, the Canadians are rocking.
It's because they're sensible.
They are. They know what they're
we
doing.
need to take a leaf out the Canadians' book.
Yeah, yeah.
It's only Eric that's not sensible that lives over there.
You wouldn't be with a haircut like that, would you? But another thing I want to touch is
age.
Definitely. Because I've got a son now who's, what is he? He'll be 21 in November. I've got a daughter who's 16. My son went to boarding school, and boarding school, a lot of stuff went on. So I'm fully aware, and I suppose most people who've got children who are in their teens, that they may experiment.
Yeah.
And the availability of cannabis in the UK and worldwide now is a lot more freely available when I was that age. And it's also a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Well, the availability of the strength was always there, but the strength was always there, but the availability wasn't.
Yeah.
You could only probably go to Amsterdam and probably get it 20, 30 years ago. Josh has had problems because of it. And now he doesn't smoke it anymore. He's now 20, doesn't smoke it anymore. And I sort of looked at that and look at his friends who now don't smoke it anymore because they all smoked it when they were 13, 14 and just blitzed it. And it's just ridiculous. And I keep saying, look, your brain's not developed, So, I mean, if I sat, if I had the pleasure of sitting on a committee for the UK government or for any, representatives that are trying to figure out, how should we position this type of medical or recreational drug, if you want to call it a drug, plant. I personally, I look at it and I think maybe I look at 21 or even look at 25.
I agree.
And I look, if you start making recreational like they have in Canada, and I disagree with that, what they do in Canada, or I think they do in America as well. I mean, you can't buy a drink unless you're 21 in America, but you can go and buy an ounce of weed at the age of 18. I think that's right. I might be right in saying that. I know Canada, that's the case. But you look at the kids smoking huge amounts, and they're not doing themselves any favours with this newfound. What do they do? Set fire to it on a, what do they call it? Where they burn it with a Bunsen burner. What do they call that? I'm
out. I'm into the 30s now. I'm off the.
What do they call that?
What's
it called? These hot plates, and they drop it on a hot plate and smoke the fumes.
And follow the drug.
Yeah.
It's called chasing the dragon.
No, that's another drug.
I don't know. I'm just hearing all these words.
I can't remember what it's called. There's a term for it anyway.
Yeah.
But if you go on YouTube and look at
chasing
all the
Phoenix, we'll call it.
Well, they have a hot plate and they drop a little bit of bud on it, or the resin or whatever. Dabbing. That's it. Which has been around for years, and it's very basic. Like chillums or whatever. It's been around for years. But the strength of it now and the concentrate of it, you've got all these young kids just hammering these things. They're not doing themselves any favours.
But they're doing it because it's cool, because it's illegal.
I know.
If it was legal, it wouldn't be cool.
Yeah, and they wouldn't be doing it as much.
Unfortunately, it would be, what's the next thing?
Exactly.
Fortunately, the next thing at the moment is harder to get or is very obviously bad for you. But I 100% agree with you. When I was 18, I thought, every decision, I'm 18 now, I'm an adult. Every decision I make is the right decision. Right one, But look, I'm now like 31. Now looking back, I'm like 18 was so young.
Yeah.
Like anyone that's listening, that's 18. You've just turned into an adult in terms of the eyes of the law. In the UK, 21 if you're in the US. And you just want to try everything. But from a scientific point, we know for a fact the brain doesn't stop developing at 18. I would say, I was hoping you were going to say 21 because I'd say minimum 21 and all the 18, 19, 20-year-olds will be up in uproar. So we're adults. The brain doesn't stop developing.
No.
I think the brain doesn't stop developing till 23, 24.
No,
so where you're saying 25.
Yeah, 21, 25.
And so I would say if...
But then you look at the government's point of view, where's the biggest market to sell into?
It's that market.
18 to 25. And that's that market. So that, there's they do the due diligence and go, where are we going to make the most money from? Yeah. Really? So it's a double-edged sword,
do
really.
Age of 21, but know that if you want to look after your brain, don't start looking on doing this till you're 25. It's an enjoyable pastime.
Yeah.
I know that it's less harmful than alcohol.
Yeah.
I've had dealings with both sides. I've had people that are addicted to nicotine. I've had people that rely heavily for the effects of cannabis. And I know personally people that rely on the effects of alcohol. Alcohol destroys far more families than cannabis does.
Yeah.
But I'd also, anyone listening,
most people who smoke too much cannabis forget they've got a family.
Yeah. I don't want to take away from the people as well that I've had problems with the families that have smoked cannabis, because it affects everybody differently. I can drink alcohol. I'm not addicted to it. People in my family drink alcohol and they were addicted to it, and it ruined their lives.
Yeah.
I could smoke cannabis, and I don't smoke anything in the UK, but when I go to Barcelona and Spanimus, I still won't smoke it through the day because it has an effect on me personally where I go very quiet and tired and don't really want to talk, but it's lovely for the end of the evening, like a nice port or something. That's how I treat it. You've got to look at it, see how it affects you, and use it sensibly. It's all about being sensible with it, and when we're sensible with it, hopefully the government will start being sensible with it as well. We could go on for hours, really, couldn't we? Talking about the future of the UK. I think after what we'll do? We'll do January. After you've had your long trip, we'll have another conversation, see what happens. See
if I'm allowed out of Colombia or not.
See if you're back. You might not make it back, and we'll know he's had a great time in Colombia. Right. Thank you very much for everybody that's been listening. We've made this a little bit longer because it's the last podcast of the growing year, we'll call it. We'll be back in September. And just thank you very much, Jason, for coming and joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's been my pleasure. It's always my pleasure to have you on the podcast, because you know why?
I love being on them.
Do you?
I really do.
Yeah.
There's not been enough risky questions today.
I know. I've got a responsibility now with all these listeners and subscribers. I can't ask too many promo questions. I don't know what's coming out of your mouth. But I love them because, look, there's no paperwork, because me and Jason, we can just have a good old chat.
Swing it. Yeah.
And it's always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Cheers, Steve.
I will see you all in September for the new growing year. Speak to you all soon.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.